once I signed up for the service, it's unbelievable. I was not paying a dime more as far as advertising goes. My lead counts were, I couldn't keep up with them. I have some agents call me occasionally from around the country asking me about your service. When they call, they tell me they're a website company, from what I can understand, or they are a lead generation company, and I have to go back and explain to them, no, they're not. The focus is on lead capture, and then we go from there. And of course, I sing your praises from there because it's been a wonderful service for my business.
Recently, we surveyed more than 481,000 realtors with an average of 12.1 years in the business. You know what their number one need was? More listings. You know why? To get more customers. Why more customers? Because experienced agents don't trust lead vendors for their business. Many of us have tried them and found their leads to be expensive and poor quality, so most of us just resigned ourselves to get in our own leads. And what's the best way to get leads? Have listings. But to get listings, you have to have leads. Seems like a vicious cycle, doesn't it? Which comes first, the listings or the leads? If you have to have listings to get leads, and you need leads to get listings, where does it start? Anyone who's been in real estate for any length of time knows that this business is becoming a business of extremes. Either you have more business than you can handle, or you struggle to pay the bills. There seems to be no middle ground, and it's getting worse every year. Soon, you'll either have a large real estate team or else you'll work for one. It's called consolidation, and it's happening everywhere. All the traditional ways of getting business are becoming less and less effective, and many veteran agents are getting frustrated to the point of wanting to leave the business. But what if I told you that you could easily get 2 to 3 inbound listing leads every single day? What if you were able to generate 10 to 15 new seller leads every week, week in and week out? Leads who are not only interested in selling your homes, but also in many cases had begun looking for a replacement home. Would that make it easier to become a top listing agent? Would that make it easier to list 2 homes every week? Well, I solved my lead problem, and that's exactly why I listed so many houses. It was very simple. Let me ask you another question. When you're desperate for that listing, don't you think the seller can tell? Of course he can. And if you very seldom get any seller leads, you can't help communicating that sense of need. Often your desperation comes out in reduction of commission, so that if you actually do get the listing, it's hardly worth the trouble. After you deduct the cost of advertising and all the other listing expenses, the resulting commission doesn't even begin to make you any real money. But what if you really did get 10 to 15 listing leads every week? Would you appear to be much less frantic? Would you convey a totally different message of, I really don't care if I get this listing or not? Absolutely. And when you combine that relaxed attitude with an incredibly innovative listing presentation, you'll see what I mean in the future sessions, you'll find yourself swamped with new listings. I know from experience. You'll become irresistible. But if the listing leads aren't there, you'll not be able to convey that same take it or leave it subliminal message to your sellers. So you absolutely have to solve the listing lead problem first. That's the bottom line. It all begins with solving the lead problem. Now, many agents believe that the lead vendors have ruined our industry. Well, I disagree. Don't get me wrong, they've made it very tough to survive, but they've really done us a favor. Without them, most agents would have never realized that our customers were moving to the Internet. And for those who are unwilling to learn how to capture business effectively from the Internet, the lead vendors serve as a valuable, albeit expensive, safety net and source of business. It's not only possible, it's probable that you can get the majority of your business from the Internet today. Our average agent partner generates 40 to 50 seller leads every single month, and each of them generates nearly 100 buyer leads as well. They don't depend on lead vendors for their business. Instead, they make their own leads as they need them, and they do it at a much lower cost and a much higher quality than if they bought leads from a lead vendor. They've taken their success into their own hands. Today, as many as 92% of all home buyers and sellers begin their quest on the Internet. And many of them begin by going to a search engine like Google, where they do a search for homes or for realtors. They then choose a link to a real estate website and visit that website of that realtor, hoping to find help in their search. Now, the overwhelming majority of these real estate customers are looking for home searches. And if they don't find a good, easy-to-use home search, they'll generally move on to another website. That seems pretty easy then. Just get a website with an IDX home search. Heck, you probably already have one. But here's where we run into that first problem. If the website is a typical real estate website, a very small number of the customers will fill out the guest registration form and actually identify themselves. Generally only about 1%. So what this means is that out of every 1,000 visitors, then you, the website owner, are only going to capture about 10 of them. The capture is very inefficient because real estate websites are not designed around customer capture, but rather they're designed to give out information. So here's the problem. Real estate traffic costs money. Now, either through pay-per-click or PPC advertising or through search engine optimization, which you've probably heard of referred to as SEO. Either way, the website owner is able to have his website listed on search engines in a way as to be displayed whenever a customer does a real estate search. Pay-per-click advertising often costs several dollars a visitor, while SEO or search engine optimization costs several $1,000s up front and needs to be continually managed in order to keep the site ranking high. Now, when you take that high cost of traffic and you place it with a low capture rate, like a typical real estate website has, then the actual cost per lead becomes extremely high, usually well over $100 a lead. And this is the reason that many agents, even those with websites, choose to purchase leads from vendors rather than make their own. Lead generation companies often charge $50 and up for leads, and many times they sell the same lead to multiple agents. Some vendors charge as much as 30% of the closed transaction, resulting in lead costs of over $2,000. And to make matters even worse, not only is the lead expensive, but often the lead quality is poor as well. This is the very problem that caused me to begin to look for a solution. Ultimately, we developed a technology called an LCM gateway, or a lead capture module. Instead of having the inefficiencies that are inherent in even the very best real estate websites that are designed around delivering information, this LCM gateway was designed to do only one thing: to capture internet traffic. Besides that, rather than having a capture rate of 1% or less, as with typical real estate websites, the LCM gateway captures between 30 and 40% of all visitors. And that brings the cost per lead down to as little as $3. More importantly, the quality of the lead is much higher than the quality of a lead supplied by lead vendors. Listen, I can remember buying leads from companies like House Values, Home Gain, Service Magic. I remember getting the same lead that had been sold to 3 other agents, and I remember getting some quote-unquote leads that had only a name and an email address. I remember a high number of bogus leads, and it was very frustrating. But I was desperate. So I decided to learn how to make my own leads. Now we generate all our own leads using our technology. Over 2,000 good leads every single month. Is it any wonder that we've grown so fast? And there's no reason you can't grow this fast as well. What it comes down to is having the customers. Let me give you an example. In Eagle, Idaho, we have an agent partner named Kyle Wilson. He's a relatively new agent, and as a new agent, Kyle worked for Silverhawk Realty, and he closed a very respectable 25 transactions in his second year. Since he began using our LCM Gateway technology, though, he's grown to a team of 15 agents and is looking at expanding to other markets. Kyle will do hundreds of real estate transactions this year, and now he's one of the biggest producers in Idaho. He lists homes at 8%, and the only thing slowing his growth is his ability to recruit and train more agents. What a success story. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Did Kyle suddenly get smarter? Did he start working twice as hard? No. The fact is that Kyle's a very sharp and talented guy. We simply helped point him in the right direction and gave him a few tools to make the process easier. He created the success, and that could just as easily be you. Why not? Do you work hard? Are you smart? If you answered yes to those questions, not only could it be you, it should be you. Why not? Like I was talking about earlier, a real estate customer goes to a search engine and he clicks on a link to find properties. But now, unlike the previous example, this time the customer is diverted to the lead capture gateway technology, or the LCM. Now, the gateway is designed to capture a maximum number of visitors. So instead of capturing only about 1% of the visitors to your site, you're now capturing between 30 and 40%. The first time through the gateway, the user has to register to use your website. From then on, he or she can come and go freely without ever re-registering. The process is very simple and very effective. So why does the Lead Capture Gateway work so much better than the registration forms on most real estate websites? Why couldn't you just put a registration form in the customer path and receive the same results? Well, the truth is, you probably would receive much better results than you receive now. We've seen agents take their site conversion up to the 5% range just by doing that one thing. But the LCM Gateway is specifically designed to maximize the lead capture, while web forms are not. Lead capture is a science. Everything about our gateway continues to be tested and modified in real time so as to maximize lead capture. As I'm teaching, we're testing 3 different versions of our LCM Gateway, all in real time. And what we continue to learn is that every subtle nuance makes a difference. From font face to font size to font colors to page background to icons to server-side scripts to PHP to Java to CGI, client-side scripts to form validation to everything. What worked well last year is not working as well this year, as internet shopping habits change with the maturity of the internet. For example, several months ago, we experimented with changing one phrase on the LCM Gateway landing page. We tried several different versions over a period of a month or so with over 50,000 unique visitors, and we learned that one particular offer consistently pulled nearly 3% better than the other two. Some of the differences were visible, while others had to do with the processing of the online form. Since we began in 2004, we've changed the way the gateway goes about processing mail 3 times, every time improving conversion and the number of leads captured for our agent partners. The typical website, even when all the registration forms are enabled, has site capture, or CR, only in the range of 5%. The very best and most expensive websites available capture only 6 to 8%, making any real lead capture on the website impractical and expensive, while continuing to get even worse as more and more people are bidding up the cost of internet advertising. But with the addition of an LCM Gateway in the customer path, website lead capture is not only practical, it's probably the cheapest form of lead capture available. I know that in our market, we capture some leads for less than $1 a lead, and we produce our most expensive internet leads for under $5 each. With lead costs that low, we can afford to make more than we'll ever use, and having more leads than we can work gives us room to grow. It means recruiting and team building. It means increased market share. But every agent's different. Some have no interest in building a large team, while others do. We have one agent partner who creates thousands of leads, does the initial follow-up, and then hands off warm leads to other agents in his market for a referral. He no longer works with customers directly, but manages his own private relocation company, so to speak. How you choose to work your business is entirely up to you. The key is that with lots of customers, you have lots of options. So let me ask you, how well are you tapping the largest of all markets, the Internet? Do you have efficient lead capture on your website? If you don't, the first step to becoming a dominant real estate agent is having way too many customers. You really have to start there. Everything else is second to that. Today, you can believe the lead vendors are spending lots of money tapping the Internet. And if you're going to compete with them, you're going to have technology that puts you on the same playing field. Otherwise, you'll find yourself depending on lead vendors for much of your business. So call us today at 800-708-7705, extension 7100, and we can help you find the technology you need. Again, that number is 800-708-7705, extension 7100. Okay, in the next session, we'll be discussing advertising. Where should you be spending your marketing dollars if you're to become the top listing agent in your market? What strategies will get you the most bang for your hard-earned buck? Is it possible to be effective in advertising without breaking the bank? How can you know for certain which ads are working and which ones aren't? All these questions will be answered in the next session, so you won't want to miss it. I'll also be telling you my secret for finding hundreds of new listing leads without ever calling a FSBO or an expired listing. In the meantime, work on getting your technology in place. There's never going to be a better time to start than right now.